there were three things that we hoped to achieve with the Evaluation Hackathon. Firstly, it was to co-create solutions to local and also wider M&E challenges. Secondly, to build M&E capacity and skills. And thirdly, to generate positive energy during a really challenging time. It was at the height of COVID-19. There were quite serious lockdowns, and it wasn't possible to get together face to face. We picked challenges which were really pertinent and relevant to things that we were facing in South Africa. We advertised it to our members, we advertised it on our listserv, and we partnered with NASCI, the National Association for Social Change Entities in Education. So they also advertised it to their members, and that's mainly where we got people who were interested, and then they signed up to participate. So the model and the structure, how it worked, people were divided into teams. Each team had a team leader, and there was a coordinator who assisted with organizing the meetings, keeping attendance registers, notes, keeping everyone on the same page. The team leader was kind of driving the process. My theme was M&E during times of crisis. Our challenges were aimed to come up with some helpful solutions to help organizations that needed evaluations, as well as people working in M&E to do things a bit differently during times of crisis, and also beyond crisis, because some of those ways of working that we started under the COVID-19 pandemic, like virtual remote working, have carried on to a large extent.
During the hackathon, my main role was to convene on a topic of Made in Africa evaluations. And under that theme, there were two sort of groups. The first one was on conceptualizing and standardizing what is made in Africa. And then the other one was focusing on indigenous knowledge systems and documenting or codifying some case studies where indigenous knowledge systems or methods were used in evaluations.
The interest of the topic was to create the parameters of an evidence map for capturing the available evaluations in the South African context. And the value of such an evidence map is that once we can see where the evaluations are being done, in which sectors, what type of evaluations are being done, it also provides the commissioners of evaluations and potential users of the evaluation of an evidence where of an indication of where there's possible gaps in such an evidence base.
The thing that I was leading on was how can monitoring and evaluation contribute to the systemic crises that are facing humanity and the planet. We're in danger of extinction of humanity and much of the natural world in the next 100 years, and we've got to act quickly, and every profession needs to be focusing on what it can do. So what can monitoring and evaluation do? And so we decided on an approach where all evaluations have to address climate, ecosystems, and equity. In terms of the particular theme, what we had to do was design the hackathon process. What is it? And piloting how the teams could operate. On the particular content on systemic crises, I had to develop a conceptual basis for what we were trying to do, what was the problem we were trying to face. We had to identify a core team with the right mix of skills. It needed facilitation skills, content skills, evaluation skills, people with government experience, as well as co-leads for the teams who could take the process forward.
My role in the hackathon was as the logistics coordinator. So basically holding the platform, essentially getting all the role players to be able to do their work in such a way that they were able to collaborate over a 2-week period. This collaborative approach brings about understanding because you have to use relational skills to be able to understand different perspectives of people and then bring that to bear on how you begin to understand the problem so that you can then work towards what you deem the kind of solution to be. It's more about individual ideas coming together to make the one product richer and stronger, actually, with more sustainability over time.
The main strength is that you're able to cover more ground. You have many people working on one research product. Everybody's contribution was valued. So even if you are an emerging evaluator, what you had to contribute was also used.
What we've produced is potentially groundbreaking, and many other countries are actually looking at what we're doing because we're piloting how monitoring and evaluation can really make a difference. But the proof is still when these guidelines get applied. So we need to wait and see. But if it goes as we're hoping, it will be very, very powerful. And it's helped create a mechanism where monitoring and evaluation can contribute to systemic change.
We had a very strong contingent from the DPME as part of the process. And having the DPME respondents there meant that the work that we were doing was resonating directly with the work that they do on a day-to-day basis. It resonates to the role as the custodian for M&E in the public sector in South Africa. And the interest that was created through the hackathon and the process plan of making this a feasible project that was created through the hackathon had traction there. So they took it further into DPME and they committed to it, and they say, well, you know what, this is something that is important that we would like to do, and they are willing to commit the resources for it, which meant that the hackathon was not just a process to initiate something that's a nice to have, but is actually now finding the implementation means through the members of the hackathon team.
The hackathon surpassed my expectations. I'm new in the M&E field. I mean, we had such an engaging team leader, and also the involvement of the entire team. Like, I mean, it really made our work pretty much easier. So it's very useful for us, especially young and emerging M&E practitioners, because that's where we get to network and create this relationship, and also build a relationship, not just for us ourselves, but also the outputs that we got there. It helps build our organization as a whole.
There is need for making time provision to make sure that we are able to organize, different people that are coming from different backgrounds, worse even during the times of COVID where it was done virtually. So time was really an issue. Then the other issue was the virtual connections. Some people would lose network, and at the end of the day, you are not able to galvanize everyone to produce a quality input where there is a participatory process from everyone who has signed for that hackathon.
In terms of the content, I knew what the issues were, but I didn't know what these solutions could be. And so I've learned a lot in terms of thinking about how we can apply this, climate ecosystems and equity thinking to evaluations going forward. And that's been, very powerful for me.
I have learned lessons about how to bring people together to co-create. Through working together, you can come up with some quite creative solutions and ways forward. I think we also learned about how one can support and facilitate a process like this.
I think what was critical in this process was the role players. You needed to have the right people around the table. So while it's easy to upscale people and get the right experts in and kind of capacitate them to do the work, if you really want to be successful, you need to have the right people that is motivated to do the process, that is committed, that stays there for the full 2 weeks. And that is dependent on the interest in the process and the product that is being generated, but also whether people had time enough to make space in their diaries due to competing commitments.
Whatever information you're able to give people beforehand, whether it's like the documents you'll be looking at, or maybe embed that process into the hackathon. Maybe you have like a reading week, an information week, and then have like the team meetings week after that. But yeah, also it is quite a flexible process, so you don't want to be too rigid, and then kind of chase away people that would be interested. So it's a balance.
My advice to project teams is get stuck in right at the beginning, allocate tasks immediately, and don't be afraid to fail. The most important thing about failure is that if you fail enough times, you learn how to define and understand something better.
I think that the hackathon has the potential to influence the trajectory of how monitoring and evaluation as a discipline, number one, and as a practice can be done in South Africa. In that, specifically for this Made in Africa evaluation theme, there has been talks around decolonization of the evaluation practice, and this is one of the themes that is geared towards that decolonization discourse. So I really think that hackathons of this nature, should they be done well, they have a role to play towards shaping M&E as a discipline and as a practice.
We were recently at the European Evaluation Society's conference, doing some presentations on the equity guidelines and on the hackathon itself. And people have been commenting on just how kind of innovative the work is. And it's great that it's coming out of South Africa, coming from the South instead of from the North or the West. And so that's really, it's very exciting to be a part of something that's so innovative, and from the training that happened just these past 2 days, it's also really encouraging that the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation are really taking this on, as they're really championing these guidelines. So it's meaningful work. It wasn't just a little fun exercise, but it's really meaningful work, and it's so new. So it's really exciting to be part of it from the start.